in Chapel Hill.
With flags proudly raised.
This statue has been here for more than 100 years.
Police found themselves in the middle of competing protests over the Silent Sam statue.
Constructed in 1913. Police cleared a path.
Silent Sam represents a racist heritage.
Overwhelmingly, the tweets were con-settlement. Most of the tweets operated from an ethically concerned rationale. The largest communication type was informing. It was most often the case that the tweeter's settlement stance could be found directly in the tweet. However, it was sometimes necessary to go to the user's Twitter profile to gain further context, usually involving their political stance, to answer this question. In accordance with the large volume of anti-settlement tweeters, it was not particularly surprising that many of the users ended up being left in their political affiliation. As one might expect, those that were con-settlement and were also left in their political affiliation also tended to have a very negative attitude towards the Sons of the Confederate Veterans. The majority of tweets were concerned with an ethically based rationale. This meant that the tweeter grounded their settlement stance or argument in matters concerning ethics, in this case usually involving racism or white supremacy. Communication types were determined according to what the tweet was doing fundamentally at its core. Some tweets were primarily criticizing the settlement, while others were supporting it, and others even still were primarily provoking against the settlement. Something I found extremely compelling in my research was the tweeter affiliation group. The majority of tweeters came from either North Carolina or the immediate Triangle area. However, one of the smallest groups of tweeters was actually UNC students. I found this extremely surprising, as one would think that those that actually attend the institution that Silent Sam was placed upon would actually be most concerned about what was going on with the statue and the settlement. Similarly, 449 of the tweets made use of facts to support their position, while only 365 used opinion. Initially, this was rather surprising, as one would expect that a tweet containing a user's casual conversation about a settlement would follow suit with discussion about one's opinion on the settlement and with opinion-based logic as support. However, upon closer look, it was discovered that the results were skewed in favor of facts actually because this data was taking into account those with neutral stances on the settlement. I found it interesting that arguments could be fundamentally factual, yet still somehow communicate an inherently biased stance. Here's an example of such a tweet. This tweet is fundamentally factual as it straightforwardly provides true information on what happened in the settlement, but on second glance we can see that the user is actually very anti-settlement and is not operating solely off of facts, even if facts do constitute much of the tweet's narrative. This example shows how the combination of separate entities, media, the political cartoon, and tone, as voiced through the putting of settlement and quotation marks, can skew an otherwise factual argument until it ultimately communicates a biased stance.